You can make as many videos as you want, and you never need to pick up a camera or use any fancy editing software. With Doodly, you drag, you drop, you tweak some settings, and boom, video done. It'll take you just a few minutes. So, let's hear from the Doodly creator, Brad, to see why Doodly is so easy to use and why you should grab this offer right now.
Hi, I'm Brad Callen, and in this video, I'm going to show you how anyone can quickly and easily create doodle videos, just like the one you're watching.
This video is brought to you by Squarespace. This is why you shouldn't move to Japan. So many people tell me that they want to move to Japan, which I completely understand because I love it here. I love the food, the culture, and how safe it is, well, relatively speaking. But obviously, not everything is perfect in Japan. It's a small island with a lot of people living close together, especially in the cities, so there has to be some compromise. I think some foreigners moving to Japan don't come in with that compromised mindset and are rudely surprised when things aren't as they expected. So I wanted to make this video so I can share with you some issues that foreigners complain about when living in Japan. So maybe I can help manage your expectations before you decide to move your entire life to Japan, just to later realize that Japan wasn't for you. But like always, before I start, if you want to see what I'm doing on the daily, check out my Instagram account. If you want to help support the channel, check out the merch. And if you have any questions about Japan or your Japan travels, check out the Discord community. Oh, and let me know in the comments if any of these are deal breakers for you to move to Japan, or if you think some of these issues are not worth complaining about. Alright, let's get started. Number 1, homes are small and expensive. Well, it's kind of true that homes in Japan are a little bit small, especially when compared to Western homes. But it's important to understand that in densely populated cities like Tokyo, space is limited, and the limiting factor would be rent. For example, a 1DK apartment, meaning one room, dining, and kitchen area, about 25 to 30 square meters in Tokyo's 23 wards, would be on average about $780 per month. That's $780 in US measurements. That would be about $780 for 270 to 320 square meters. On top of that, you may be paying a 2 months deposit, 2 months key money, 1 month agent fee, plus miscellaneous fees averaging between 5.5 to 7 months of rent before you're even handed the keys to your apartment. And for some foreigners, that's just too much to be paying for that size of apartment. Number 2.
Със сигурност ти пука колко плащаш за гражданска отговорност, защото парите не растат по дърветата. Сравни цените и спести. SDI.
Hi, this is Edu and Ray, and these are Barner, the ultimate computer glasses. Edu and Ray used to work in fancy offices. And what happens in fancy offices nowadays? They are full of screens.
Clothing sizes too small. Not only do some foreigners complain about apartments being too small, they also complain about clothing. Obviously, many Japanese clothing stores market to Japanese people who are on average relatively smaller in stature when compared to foreigners. So when larger foreigners try to find larger sizes in Japan, it's usually unavailable. But you may get lucky with a few select stores, and there are big and tall stores that cater to larger size people, but usually they're not as fashionable. Interestingly, it's easier to find helmet sizes. In fact, I got this one last year. I was pleasantly surprised that Japanese helmets are sized larger than what I was used to in the US. For example, in Japan, a small size helmet is equivalent to a US large size. Go figure. Anyway, if you're a larger size foreigner, then be prepared. Number 3, no return policy. Now, if you purchased any products from bookstores, electronic stores, furniture stores, etc., you generally can't return things in Japan unless there's a product defect, and even then, sometimes it's quite a hassle. Apparel shops, though, are a bit different, and it really depends on the store. Some are okay with it, some are not. But in general, Japan doesn't have that shopping culture where you buy it, take it home, try it out, and bring it back with a tag if you don't like it. Number 4, too much paperwork. Although Japan has gotten a little bit better over the last few years, Japan is still notorious for paper pushing, especially when it comes to official registration forms such as with the local city hall, creating a bank account, and even signing up for a home internet connection. A lot of it must be done in person or submitted via post, as paper documents need to be officially signed or Honko stamped. Basically, Japan still hasn't caught up to the digital age yet. Number 5. Japanese forums are not foreigner friendly. So when some foreigners finally start filling out bank forms or any other forms in general, then they soon find out that some of the forms don't have enough boxes to fill out their name, especially if they have a longer name, and even worse if they have a middle name. See, Japanese don't have middle names and they're usually only a few characters long, so when Japanese created their forms, they never anticipated providing enough space for foreigners, which creates a lot of problems down the line, especially when foreigners are trying to make transactions. The other party can't verify who the foreigner is because their half-written down bank name doesn't match their government-issued ID. Furthermore, as many businesses have moved online, you'll find the same issue with online forms that require you to enter Japanese characters for your name, or again, not having enough boxes to fill out your full name. It's a real headache for some foreigners and it lasts their entire stay here in Japan. Number 6. Small food portions. So portions served in Japan are generally smaller because Japanese tend to eat smaller meals. This is one part of Japan that some foreigners can't get used to when living here, and each meal becomes a cause for complaint. But look on the bright side, Japan has one of the lowest obesity rates in the world at only 4.3% compared to say the US at 36.2%. All I can say is that if you're really in the need for some more food, just order another plate. Before we continue, I wanted to give a quick shout out to our sponsor for this video today, Squarespace. If you watch any of my videos, then you already know. But if you food, just order another plate. Before we continue, I wanted to give a quick shout out to our sponsor for this video today, Squarespace. If you watch any of my videos, then you already know. But if you don't, Squarespace is my go-to for building my online presence. Here are some of the things that I love the most about using Squarespace. Squarespace has uniquely awesome templates, making it easy to start. And better yet, they have some pretty awesome tools to help you along the way. For example, they have portfolios and galleries to display all of your projects. And Squarespace has powerful blogging tools to tell your story, share your updates, photos, and videos. And if you're an analytics nerd like me, you can see how your visits, unique visitors, and page views trend over time, helping you to build a better website as you go. So go to squarespace.com today for your free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/Paolo from Tokyo and get 10% off your first domain or website. That said, let's continue on with the list. Number 7, mandatory car inspections. So many foreigners that end up living outside of the city in Japan are gonna end up getting a car, and when they do, they're gonna need to get shaken, which is a mandatory vehicle inspection conducted to confirm whether a car meets Japanese safety standards. The initial inspection is effective for 3 years, and renewal inspections are required every 2 years. The inspection costs about $960 each time for a standard car. The fee is always the same no matter the value of the car, and even if the car is perfectly maintained by the owner, the inspection is still required. After 10 years, the requirements become even stricter, and some foreigners complain about this as well, despite every car owner in Japan having to do this every year. Number 8, social conformity. Well, surprise, surprise, many Japanese don't want to stick out from the group. So there's a heavy social pressure to be part of the group, which is very difficult for some foreigners to accept. Take work for example. Many Japanese offices will ask their employees to drink after work with a team. Most will attend despite not wanting to, despite and our great domain or website. That said, out today for your helping you to build a better website. See how we show your updates, photos, and videos. And if you're an analytics nerd like me, you can see how your visits, unique visitors, and page views trend over time, helping you to build a better website as you go. So go to squarespace.com today for your free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/Paolo from Tokyo and get 10% off your first domain or website. That said, let's continue on with the list. Number 7, mandatory car inspections. So many foreigners that end up living outside of the city in Japan are gonna end up getting a car, and when they do, they're gonna need to get shaken, which is a mandatory vehicle inspection conducted to confirm whether a car meets Japanese safety standards. The initial inspection is effective for 3 years, and renewal inspections are required every 2 years. The inspection costs about $960 each time for a standard car. The fee is always the same no matter the value of the car, and even if the car is perfectly maintained by the owner, the inspection is still required. After 10 years, the requirements become even stricter, and some foreigners complain about this as well, despite every car owner in Japan having to do this every year. Number 8, social conformity. Well, surprise, surprise, many Japanese don't want to stick out from the group. So there's a heavy social pressure to be part of the group, which is very difficult for some foreigners to accept. Take work for example. Many Japanese offices will ask their employees to drink after work with a team. Most will attend despite not wanting to in order to avoid being an outsider. Some foreigners argue that you don't despite social conformity. Well, surprise, surprise, many Japanese don't want to stick out from the group. So there's a heavy social pressure to be part of the group, which is very difficult for some foreigners to accept. Take work for example. Many Japanese offices will ask their employees to drink after work with a team. Most will attend despite not wanting to in order to avoid being an outsider. Some foreigners argue that you lose your individuality in this case, but at the same time, this type of conformity has shown some advantages as most people in Japan this year have been compliant with wearing masks. That said, foreigners who have trouble working with a group, or the ones who don't notice how important it is to conform to the group, may have trouble living in Japan.
One of the only proven ways to rewire your ex's brain and literally force them to take you back is to use reverse psychology. Now, if you want to see how well this sneaky method actually works, just watch my free tutorial video at breakupbrad.com. Now, the reason this technique is so incredibly powerful is because it's based on proven psychological principles, and it all happens subconsciously. So your ex is literally powerless to resist it. So that means that it works even if your situation is desperate and your ex isn't responding to conventional methods. And best of all, you won't have to beg or plead. Just use this technique properly, and your ex is actually going to be the one begging you to take them back. Just watch my full video to see how it all happens under the radar. It's up on my website for free at breakupbrad.com. And why should you take my word for it? Well, in the 12 years I've been a breakup coach, I've helped over 100,000 people get a second chance with their ex. And this exact reverse psychology trick, the one that I described in my free tutorial video, is one of the biggest reasons why my methods are so effective. And if it still sounds too good to be true, well, watch the video at breakupbrad.com and try out this technique for yourself, and then thank me later.
Have you ever wanted to tighten the muscles in your face and neck?
You know, at my age, to get the kind of sag to go away, that would be fantastic.
I'll be doing this a million times a day if it's only going to give me one chin.
2 to 3 minutes a day, super easy.
I love using my jaw size because it keeps my jaw so sculpted.
You may not know this, but there's 57 plus muscles in your face and neck with no real way to exercise them besides basic talking or our soft processed diet. Everybody's suffering from what we call text neck. Looking down, texting, we're losing strength, mobility, and alignment in our bites. So I created a product called the Jazzercise. It's proudly made right here in the USA out of medical grade silicone and backed with a 60-day, 100% money back guarantee. With 2 models, a non-boil version that fits your teeth out of the package.
Number 9, weak drugs. Some foreigners will claim that over-the-counter Japanese pain medication is not as strong as their home country. But from my experience, it's probably more an issue with dosage than strength. For example, take this box of Japanese ibuprofen. Each pill is 200 milligrams, and it says take 1 capsule every 4+ hours up to a max of 3 capsules in 1 day. While this US bottle of ibuprofen also has 200 milligram capsules, and it says take 1 capsule every 4 to 6 hours. But if the pain or fever is not reduced, 2 capsules may be used, up to 6 capsules in 24 hours. So in general, Japanese medical pain medication important is to drugs. Some foreigners will claim that over-the-counter Japanese pain medication is not as strong as their home country. But from my experience, it's probably more an issue with dosage than strength. For example, take this box of Japanese ibuprofen. Each pill is 200 milligrams, and it says take 1 capsule every 4+ hours up to a max of 3 capsules in 1 day. While this US bottle of ibuprofen also has 200 milligram capsules, and it says take 1 capsule every 4 to 6 hours. But if the pain or fever is not reduced, 2 capsules may be used, up to 6 capsules in 24 hours. So in general, Japanese medicines prescribe lower dosages than what some foreigners may be used to. But there may be an argument for over-the-counter pain medication in Japan to be more expensive. This 240 capsule ibuprofen bottle from the US costs about $15, and this 24 capsule ibuprofen box from Japan costs about $14. So in general though, when comparing prices from Japan to other countries like the US, Japan is usually more expensive. So if you're gonna live here, be more expensive dollars, and this 240 capsule ibuprofen bottle from the US costs about $15, and this 24 capsule ibuprofen box from Japan costs about $14. So in general though, when comparing prices from Japan to other countries like the US, Japan is usually more expensive. So if you're gonna live here, you just gotta get used to the prices. And number 10, late releases. When it comes to overseas products such as technology, apparel, and even movies, it usually comes to Japan months, sometimes years after its original release, and a lot of times it never even makes it to the Japanese market. That's just how it is. At the end of the day, when you live in Japan, you're just going to have to appreciate Japanese products. And overall, when you're living in Japan, you're just going to need to accept how Japan does things, even though it's different from your country. And if it's going to be difficult for you to do that, then you probably shouldn't move to Japan. If you like this video, help me out and hit that like button. Again, if anything stuck out to you, let me know in the comments. And if you guys want to see more of these type of videos, Japan guides, food videos, hit that subscribe button and the bell button, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.
Спря да ме боли главата.
Аналгин действа ефикасно срещу главоболие, болка и температура. Сега е новият Аналгин Макс Саше. Разтворима форма, с приятен вкус и по-силен обезболяващ ефект. Аналгин. Без болка, животът е прекрасен. Аналгин и Аналгин Макс са лекарствени продукти без лекарско предписание за възрастни деца над 10 и над 15 години. Преди употреба прочетете листовките.
So this is what it's like to fly during a pandemic in Japan. And I've got a special permission today with Japan's leading airlines, ANA, and I'm gonna be able to show you what happens behind the scenes during coronavirus. But in order for me to show you what's happening behind the scenes, we're gonna first need to check in. So let's do that right now. So flying, not so popular these days around the world, but how does a carrier like ANA keep its passengers safe and domestic flights running? Well, let's find out, and by the end of this, you can let me know how it compares to your country, and if ANA service truly earns the mark, made in Japan. Okay, social distancing markers in place. Good start. Let's see what else.
いらっしゃいませ。おはようございます。搭乗手続きでいらっしゃいますか?
Oh, I see what he's doing here, offering me a tray to help minimize contact. I can get with that. So what's changed for you since the pandemic?
新型コロナウイルスが世界中で猛威を振るい出してから、係員はこのように全員マスクを着用するようになりましたし、
So what's changed for you since the pandemic?
新型コロナウイルスが世界中で猛威を振るい出してから、係員はこのように全員マスクを着用するようになりましたし、空港のチェックインカウンターではこのようにビニールカーテンが設置されるようになりました。空港の設備であったり、係員の業務も新型コロナウイルスが流行しだしてから劇的に変化してきました。ありがとうございました。お気をつけていってらっしゃい。
How do celebrities lose weight in what seems like a matter of days? Well, believe it or not, they don't starve themselves and they don't go on these crazy restrictive diets. And I know this basically goes against everything you've ever read in magazines or seen on TV, but the truth is that A-listers slim down with this little-known fat loss system, and it starts with understanding just one thing about your body.
You do not need to eat salad, and you do not need to run on the treadmill like a little hamster. And yes, you can even eat your favorite ice cream or pizza and still lose weight.
So we just checked in and now we gotta drop off our baggage. Usually at that counter you can just do it right there, but I wanted to show you the process. So let's go check in our baggage right now.
機内での手荷物収納による密を回避するため、手荷物のお預けにご協力をお願いいたします。
Okay, this part seems pretty standard. No contact with anyone. On to the next checkpoint. Below 37.5, I'm good. So we just got our temperature checked and now I'm heading towards the gate. But we have a little bit more time before the flight leaves, so I wanted to show you behind the scenes of what Anna does to prepare its planes. So I'm on the tarmac right now and the cleaning crew is about to get here. Oh, there they are, A&A's cleaning crew. Usually scheduled to clean every international flight and every night for domestic flights. Just seeing them go, I feel like I'm watching a Formula One pit crew. So it looks like they do the cleaning in two parts. First they clean the plane and get rid of all the trash and wipe things down, and then afterwards they sanitize everything. Wow, they are working at amazing speed. It is so impressive to see how fast they can clean. So what changed for your crew after the pandemic?
変わったこと、通常作業よりもアルコール消毒、ヘッドレスだとか肘掛け、モニター、テーブル、そういうとこのアルコール消毒が増えてますね。
On top of that, they also sanitize spots on the airplane where customers' hands could possibly touch, which for me seems like everywhere. Now that the plane is all clean, I'm still wondering about the circulation in this plane. Let's go down below and figure out how it all works. So cleaning checked, but what about the air we're breathing during the flight? I'm gonna have to visit A&A's airplane maintenance hangar and talk with an engineer to find out more. So I've just made it to Anna's hangar. Let's go see if we can find an engineer. Wow, the hangar's a lot more spacious than I expected. It could fit about 4 to 5 airplanes inside. And this is just one of several A&A airplane hangars at the airport. Also, this place kind of reminds me of where bad guys go in the movies just to get caught by the hero. But anyway, let's stay focused. People are working hard here. So we've made it down to the cargo space and it looks like one of their engineers is working over there. Let's call them over and see what they're doing. Thanks for coming over. What are you doing right now?
今は、フィルターの交換をしています。飛行機の空調は外部からの空気を取り入れて客室内の上部から下部に流れるようになっています。この下部に流れた空気がこのフィルターを交換して、機内循環されていまして、そのフィルターを今交換しております。
Apparently, the airplane's taking fresh air from outside every 3 minutes and circulates the air inside of the plane through these specialized HEPA filters, exactly like the new one she was carrying earlier, to completely clean the air inside. Interestingly, these same HEPA filters are also used in hospital operation rooms. That's pretty reassuring. So this behind the scenes look in Japan's flight services wouldn't be complete if I didn't check on what the cabin attendants do before and during the flights. Oh nice, they even installed acrylic boards and curtains throughout the office. So I'm in Anna's office right now and the cabin attendants are about to go into their pre-flight meeting. Let's see what they talk about.
Hola, soy David Vega, diseñador y artista gráfico. Mi especialidad es el matte painting. Tengo varios años de experiencia generando escenarios donde se fusionan imágenes de manera realista. Con la ayuda de Photoshop he desarrollado técnicas y herramientas que hacen que mi
ACP の取り組みに関してですが、ここにもうノーティスが出ているので皆さん
So in the meeting, in addition to their standard pre-flight discussion, the CAs review the most up-to-date COVID-19 countermeasures, like how to request passengers to wear masks and sanitize.
あとはお化粧室の清掃とかも搭乗前だけではなくって上空でも定期的にお客様がご使用になった後にするように皆さんで声をかけながらやっていきたいと思います。はい、長くなりますがよろしくお願いします。お願いします。
As part of the company's policy, ANA provides all of their cabin attendants with masks so they can change into new ones before going on a flight. So, what was the biggest change for cabin attendants after the pandemic?
コロナウイルスによって衛生観念や人との距離が変わったと思います。乗務員はマスクと手袋が義務付けられました。お客様にもマスクの着用をお願いしております。
Wow, I'm feeling a lot better about getting on the plane now. We're right in front of the gate and we're about to get on board. Let's do this.
前のお客様と適度な距離を空けて改札機をご通過いただきますようご協力をお願いいたします。
お客様同士の間隔を空けてお並びいただきます。ご協力お願いいたします。
ただいまグループ1番、2番のお客様ご案内中です。
The ground staff continually remind passengers to maintain social distancing at boarding. And as part of their COVID-19 countermeasures, they organize passengers to board in 6 separate groups.
ありがとうございます。
Alright, that was pretty smooth. So much of the flight itself is what we've come to know. The cabin attendants go through their regular pre-flight procedures, you know, the usual. Now that we're in the air, let's see what happens during the flight. Once the seatbelt lights turn off, they start preparing for their in-flight services. But these days, taking additional measures to help reassure passengers of a safe flight. First, they change into new gloves before serving passengers. And then they pass out alcohol sheets for passengers to use, and individual plastic bags for trash. I think I'll take one of those. Thank you very much. After that, the CA starts preparing for drink services. Again, changing into new gloves to serve out the drinks, and even wiping down the trays before use. Oh yes, I'll have some Ocha, thank you. Oh, and more frequent cleanings is another responsibilities CAs have taken on to ensure passengers experience cleaner facilities throughout the entire flight. And like other services, changing into new gloves before starting. They focus on high-touch facilities such as the restroom. Everything from the front door, inside handles, sink area, toilet seats, and flusher all get wiped down, which allows passengers like me to sit back and simply enjoy the flight. Times have changed, and as you can see, flying procedures in Japan has changed with it. I don't know how long it'll last, but hopefully not too long. But for now, this is the level of service you can expect when flying in Japan.
Здравейте, казвам се Калина и съм от Пловдив. Занимавам се с маркетинг и копирайтинг. Гласувам от 18 годишна и никога не съм пропускала да дам своя вод. Много често не се чувствам сигурна, когато пускам своя глас. Затова съм днес тук, защото искам да ви призова да станете застъпници на следващите избори и да
Alright, so that's a flight. What do y'all think? Would you fly in Japan during coronavirus? Let me know in the comments. Also, give a quick shout out to Newton. Thank you for helping me film this one. And if you guys want to see more Japan guides, food videos, or anything else related to Japan, hit that subscribe button and the bell button, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. These are my hidden spots in Azabujuban. So I'm back with another food video. This time I'm in Azabujuban and I'm showing you my favorite spots, and some of them are actually some hidden spots that I haven't shared before. If you guys have never been to Azabujuban, then it has kind of its own little atmosphere. It almost has kind of like this, a mix of a Japanese and European Western vibe, which is so unique on its own, and it's actually one of the first neighborhoods that I discovered when I came to Japan, and I wanted to share with you some of my favorite spots. I'm so excited to start this video, but again, before I start, if you guys want to see what I'm doing on the daily, check out my Instagram account. If you want to help support the channel, check out the Tokyo merch, and if you guys have any questions about Japan or your Japan travels, check out my Discord community. Alright, so without further ado, let's get our food on. Azabujuban is located right next to Roppongi, with Namboku and Uedo lines running to the area, making it fairly easy to access. An affluent area since the Edo period, Azabujuban is known for its high-end residential spaces with a mixture of a retro and modern atmosphere. Of course, the main attraction here is the Azabujuban Shotengai, which has more than 300 shops. And I love how you can find shops with over 100 years of history sitting just next to a trendy international gourmet shop, but don't sleep on the side streets. I mean, yeah, I guess don't sleep there, but also you should visit the side streets. Number 1. New York Club. This is the go-to custom bagel sandwich shop in the area. It got popular for its rainbow bagels, but don't get blinded by the trendy flash. They make excellent bagel sandwiches that will have you singing "Hold Me, Hold Me." And if you're not about that custom life, you can just pick up from one of their set bagel configurations from savory to sweet. They even got a vegan option. I couldn't actually decide today, so I got 2 of the bagels. So first of all, we're gonna start with the dessert because that's how I like to roll. This one is their Oreo Monster. You can see the cookie. It has some blueberry cream cheese. It has some Oreo cookie. And then I got the unicorn bagel. Let me just take a bite. I feel so guilty eating this. The bagel itself is super fresh. It's a little bit on the chewy side, but has a nice kind of like chewy texture to it. Cannot go wrong with this. What a stupendous meal. Look at that. That is some junk in your trunk. And let me just show you the
When I first saw this product, I thought it looked kind of crazy. Didn't really understand what the benefits would be, but
the second dealio. This one is the beef and cheese brisket. Look how thick that meat is right there. Oh, there's quite a lot of flavor coming from that brisket. Paired with the cheese, the sauce itself is a little bit sweet, but not too sweet. Cheese is just melty, just how I like it. This one is quite on the heavy side, so even just eating like just a few bites, you feel like this one will fill your stomach. And I also got the cheese bagel. I thought it'd go really well with the brisket and the cheese. At the end of the day, you can have whatever bagel combination you want at this place. So have fun. If you want a little piece of the US, a little piece of New York, come to this spot. Number 2. Tsukishimaya. With more than 70 years of history under its belt, this shop is beloved by locals for its imagawayaki. Okay, has life started? I don't even know what I'm saying, but I feel like today is gonna be a good day because I have these 2 pockets of joy in my hand. I've got cheese and I've got custard. First of all, I personally like to start off with the cheese because it feels more kind of like a real deal meal. Look at that. It's like two flat biscuits smashed together. What's really nice about the outer shell is that they added some black sugar to it to give it that soft texture. It looks like it would be like hard and crunchy, but it has this nice kind of playful, bouncy mochi texture that a lot of other pastries like this don't have. And then when you take a bite, it's not just cheese. It almost tastes like there's like a mayonnaise flavor to it, or like a buttery flavor to it. More than a dessert, it feels like I'm having kind of like pancakes with cheese and mayonnaise on top of it. And now for dessert, we have the custard. Wow. Whoa. Don't lose the custard. You can see it just steaming. Perfect for a fall day like this when it's a little bit chilly. The leaves are turning brown, they're falling on the ground. You just need something to warm you up, and this is the perfect treat. The custard itself, has that kind of that eggy taste to it. I can see like this shop has been around for 70 years, and you know, a shop to last that long, it has to be good. But anyways, let's move on to the next spot. Let me show you one spot real quick that beats the airport souvenir shops. Look at all these beans. I think they have more than 100 different beans here. It's like kind of like the perfect place if you want to bring back some souvenirs for some family. There's just so many different types that I think you'll be able to find something for someone. Number 3. Tonkatsu Miyako. This spot is one of those if you know, then you know shops. Ultra popular amongst locals for its tonkatsu pork cutlets. The meat is carefully selected every day from Kanagawa and Gunma prefectures, guaranteeing superior quality and that fresh. The meat is sliced only after you order. Just sitting at the counter, it feels like I'm at a sushi restaurant. The meat itself is deep fried twice in a low heat and then a high heat rapeseed oil, producing an extra crispy shell. My mouth is already watering. I got the Toku Hidekatsu. I got how crispy the outside is. I'm gonna dip it in the first sauce from this restaurant like that. Oh, I mean, just look at it. You know why this is the special dish. Oh, that's one of the best pieces of meat I've ever tasted. That's golden crispy on the outside, and that meat is so tender and flavorful. Oh, and that sauce, the sweet side. Add that little sesame there, adds a little bit more texture to it. I am so happy